Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Well, I know I promised you the Reptilian Man of Pennsylvania, but I'm still working on that story. So today I've got 3 terrifying Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch links to help this channel continue to grow and go. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that don't fit well on this channel. If that's anything that you're into, follow the link below and give those stories a listen. You may just like them. And with that, guys, I've definitely taken enough of your time up. Let's get on with these Dogman encounters, shall we? Today's first Dogman encounter. I saw a Dogman with my own eyes and with the witness of 2 of my very good friends. First of all, I will tell you that when this sighting took place I was 12. I'm now 20 and that I lived in a very small coal mining town in northwestern Canada. It began when my 2 friends and I were walking around a rodeo ground right next to a large cut line. It was around 4 p.m. in July. There was no wind and very little noise. We were a little closer to the cut line than we usually would have been when all 3 of us at the same time turned around and saw something rather strange. I will describe this creature as being tall, maybe 8 or 9 feet. I have no idea how much it weighed. That's pretty hard to judge. I would guess the same mass as a good-sized bull moose, but the thing that truly impacted me and changed my life forever was its legs. 2 legs only, and built with the same framework as a dog, but much larger. Another thing I'll never forget is how fast it moved. The clearing was about 80 to 100 feet wide, and I only saw this creature for about 3 seconds. And the gracefulness of its strides was something unmatched by any other 2-legged animal I have seen, including humans. Now a lot of people say dogmen are gray. No, not true. It was pitch black, completely black, and no streaks. And a head like a wolf, only wider and a bit longer. And on its head sat 2 very hairy, pointed ears. I can also tell you that it was not particularly fat. It looked quite lean. Another thing that, sadly, I still have dreams about is the sound it made. As it was striding, it looked right at us and made a very deep grunt growl, at which point my friends and I ran as fast as we could back to my friend's house, which was nearby, about 400 meters or so. I would tell you more about how we tried to get our friends and family to believe us, but that is another story that would require much more time than this small, loose description of the event. One more thing I must point out is that we were no more than 60 feet away from this creature. Today's second Dogman encounter. I was staying with my brother and father at a cabin on a hunting retreat in upper part of New York. We had gone out there to hunt deer during black powder season. I was up late sharpening knives for the dressing and cooking of anything we managed to take. It was about 2 a.m. I was getting ready to go to sleep once I finished the last knife up. I saw the security light outside flick on and got up to go look at what it was. Now, you're not allowed to take deer at night, but I figured there was no harm in just looking at one, seeing which way it went, so we could track it tomorrow. And if it wasn't a deer, it would still be nice to see the local wildlife before I retired for the night. So I look out the window and I see these 2 big coyote-looking dogs with huge heads outside, on all 4s. I initially thought they were coy dogs, a hybrid between a coyote and a large dog. Happens sometimes in this area. So I watched these things sniff around. We had grilled some hot dogs earlier and they must have come looking for the smell. I watched them for a few minutes and then one of them does this weird jittering motion. It sort of stretched its hind legs out one at a time, and even through the glass I could hear a popping sound, really horrible noise. This thing did one leg, then another, and Then it sort of rolled its shoulders, made another popping sound, and stood up on its hind legs. We had put our bags of deer scent and stuff into a tree like you would to keep bears out of it. Tied it up into the tree, it reaches up, grabs the bag, and pulls it down. The thing rips it open and tears through it. It finds the deer urine in there and sniffs it, then seemed almost angry, and threw it into the wall of the cabin. At this point, it spots me. This thing looks at me, locks eyes, and the second one stands up on its hind legs. They look at me for a few seconds, staring me down. I almost peed my pants because I thought I was going to die. They seemed angry I had seen them, or upset about it. They turned and ran off, still on their hind legs. I broke down crying, locked myself in the bathroom, and refused to leave the cabin the rest of the trip. I stayed there and dressed and cooked the deer. I wouldn't go outside and actually covered the window in my bedroom because I was convinced I was going to wake up to one of them staring at me. I estimate both creatures at about 8 to 8.5 feet tall. I couldn't see genitals on either of them. They had green eyes and were colored like coyote, tan with gray on their back and white or cream bellies. They had tufts of fur on the end of their ears like a bobcat, long tails like a wolf's tail, fluffy, just like that. Today's third and final Dogman encounter. On the evening I seen the hyena-like animal I was small game hunting along a heavily wooded exploration trail that looked fruitful for rabbits. I generally hunt alone but carry a shotgun because all too often, during these often successful rabbit and grouse hunting journeys, black bears and occasionally wolf packs are nearby, and a .22 fire is poor caliber for self-protection here in the northeastern Alberta. During my hunting walk along this one west to east goat path, I noticed a turkey vulture was always overhead, and if you watch your six, an owl was always trailing me. This is very routine there. What was not, in my opinion, a routine thing was the unusual noise animal source never found. A constant coughing sound I describe best as a cat coughing up a fur ball, but no change in pitch or volume or cadence. It sounded like a sound effect generated by a studio. Certainly, what animal has the lung capacity and vocal cords to generate this very strange sound? To tell you this is almost more worrying than the sighting itself. On this day, I just came to the decision to ignore this sound and continue hunting. This particular forest trail had two small rises along my direction of travel to the east, and over a second hump, small game were more frequently seen. I think because the main road was far enough away that small animals felt safer there behind the second mound. Soon I heard what was larger than a rabbit just off to my right, and I was later than unusually arriving there, and the daylight was rapidly fading. Thankfully, this was at the intersection of the two trails, and I seated myself on a large rock on the opposite side of the trail, and sat looking in the direction with my trusty shotgun across my lap. I felt very confident in the ability to protect myself, and I was always kept two shotgun slugs really handy to swap out birdshot in my over-under just in case I had a bear encounter at close range. I seen this dog-like animal as it came around the tree. It had dog-like ears and a dog-like snout, but its front legs were certainly longer than its back legs. Never seen this before or since. Also appeared to have very muscular back and chest, almost humpback to me. Was this wolf with a deformed broken back, or now a 10,000-year extinct American hyena? I don't know. And I've seen several wolves in the past, and a number of coyotes and fox, so I feel well qualified to speak about canine animals. Also, its incisor teeth looked unnaturally long, and I think it was grayish coat with some strange yellowish or red patches on its back. Very hard to confirm in the dusk. Its eyes had a strange yellowish color to them. I was unsure whether to shoot it or not, but decided to leave this area immediately. I know well enough not to run as to appear as prey to a predator, but kept my loaded shotgun at the low and ready just in case. Stopping often to check my six, just like an infantry soldier on patrol. I left and never actually returned to the spot. On another occasion, I heard the large animal getting up in the woods at least twice in a totally different place, again while small game hunting. I had the distinct feeling I was being watched. This was near a registered trap line I later discovered was easy to find an excuse not to return there. Some months later, I found 2 thoroughly mutilated calves and cows someone really took their time with. Again, at a different location about 10 miles from here as the crow flies. The cow had ear tag, and I reported them to the RCMP. They tell me in a later phone call this incident was forwarded to the local livestock inspector. I must say perhaps just rustled cattle butchered right there, but seems stupid as it's a corner of a very busy forest road. Maybe a mutilation, maybe not. I just hope these strange occurrences are it for me. I had a recent health scare and I don't need any more drama in my life. 3 amazing Dogman encounters. Terrifying, I must say. 12-year-old kids standing in a field see this huge Dogman. 400 meters is a very far distance to run when you're 12 and you see one of these creatures. I will say so myself. The second one, to see 2 of them and then they stare at you. I can't blame that guy for staying in the cabin. Now the last one, I can't blame the guy for not hunting anymore, regardless of the health scare. I mean, even if it was the extinct American hyena, that's nothing to mess with. Have you guys ever seen one of those? Google it. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed these encounters, and with that, I bid you farewell.